All right, we are live with Lance Taylor. I'm Ryan Brown. It is Lance's Lock Saturday edition. What is up, LT? How are you?
Hey, man. Believe it or not, I cannot get all these tattoos off.
Oh no! So you still have some of your Tupac. You're still living that life, huh?
Yeah, like the only one that would come off like yesterday, the initial was any that were attached to like hair on my lower arms. Those came off
Shave your
relatively
arms.
easy.
Uh,
Yeah, but
yeah,
and then the neck tat. I didn't realize how many tattoos I had on my back, but I still have
right.
this huge like gothic cross. And
Yeah,
hey, can you get them to calm down? I'm on a live video. It's what happens when you get nieces coming over. My God.
I know. Tell them to shut up.
Jeez. But yeah, I've got so I've still got in the arms now after like multiple scrubs, it's like half tattoos. So I'm gonna have to wear sleeves
Yeah,
for a while until I get this off. Anyway,
yeah.
but all's
That's
good,
pretty funny.
man.
Good. I'm glad everything is good. We got some games we want to talk about today. It's not a terrible slate. You know what excites me? I'm excited about Auburn Ole Miss. We'll talk some about that. But this late slate, this late night Pac-12 after dark time window is that's actually a pretty good slate. We're going to get some football all the way till bedtime tonight.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, UCLA, Utah. I mean, that's a major game as far as the Pac-12 South is concerned. I mean, that game doesn't kick until 9. Virginia, BYU. If you haven't watched Brennan Armstrong, I know you and I have talked about him before. That is a fun team that loves to fling it around. Washington, Stanford is not a terrible game. Fresno and San Diego State. Fresno's a 2-loss team that. They've got the athletes to play with anybody. They're now actually the favorite over the undefeated Aztecs, and that game doesn't go off till 9:30. So, yeah, I agree with you, man. And, we didn't talk enough about this, but legitimately there are 8 unranked that could beat ranked this weekend.
Ooh, because you called last Saturday a bloodbath. I think there were 9 last Saturday. 5 of them happened, right?
Yeah.
Last Saturday?
Yeah, so I'll just throw these out quickly.
Right.
Texas could easily beat Baylor. Wisconsin's favored over Iowa. West Virginia at home against Iowa State catching 7.5. That could be one of those upsets. Houston is now the favorite over undefeated SMU. Mississippi State is the favorite over Kentucky. North Carolina is only getting 3.5 to Notre Dame. BYU is, I think they're a slight favorite right now over Virginia. And then I just mentioned Fresno State is a favorite over undefeated San Diego State. So I could easily see, I'll go on and call it, of those 8, I think we see 5 or 6, again, unranked, knocked off ranked teams.
Man, that is crazy. So I kind of hope we have that night. Let's read some comments here, and you can always comment with us as you're watching live. This one from Twitch. Jay Pear says Michigan is the easiest money of all time. We won't talk about every single game because some of them are available at lanceslock.com, Lance's paid service. That might be one of those. So without giving away too much, do you consider it the easiest money of all time?
I wouldn't say it's the easiest money of all time. I do have that game out. I've got way too many games today, Brown. When I started, I got like fully immersed last night. First of all, I watched the game in its entirety. I really needed Nevada last night, and they were able to hang on and cover that game against UNLV. And Carson Strong is a pretty good quarterback. But after that, I watched that new docuseries on Netflix. And now I can't even remember what it was called, but it was
Dope Sick?
No, I finished. I'm caught up on Dope Sick. I'll tell you what it is right now. It was with Headache Smith from Arizona State, The Scandal.
Oh, yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Anyway, it's a really good 7-part series, but the first part is about the Arizona State point shaving scandal in the early to mid 90s in Tempe. And I really remember that well. But after watching that, and I've lost my train of thought. I started doing my picks last night at like 12:30. That's why I'm so all over the place and kind of delirious today. But I do have a play on that game. But when I initially laid out my games, I had 25 plays today.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I like a lot today, which is kind of scary because, again, on paper, there's not a lot of great matchups. So when I went through the different formulas and stuff, I've got it down to 14, which is the most I've given out this season. So it's still a lot of plays. But anyway, with that said, Michigan and Michigan State is one of those games. I'll give you the bad on both of these. I mean, Harbaugh is 0-5 against top 10 teams on the road. He's never won one of these games. But if you look at Michigan State, they have failed to cover their last 7 against top 10 teams. So something's got to give here. I do like one of these sides. Michigan is favored on the road in East Lansing. I have been burned by both of these teams the entire year.
So what Lance did is he started with 25 and he pared it down. So he's down to 14. All right,
And
let's
I
talk
hate
about
11
Texas.
o'clock games, Brown, and that's one of those 11 o'clock games. I've got 3 11 o'clock games on our card today, which and I thought about just pulling the 11 o'clocks and just rolling with 11 plays, which is what I like to do. But I'm going to roll the dice today. It's our last weekend of Locktober, and we're going to see what happens.
All right, so let's start with an 11 o'clock game. ABC that is not one of yours. Baylor -2.5 playing host to Texas. Baylor is number 16. Texas come to town. I know your headline was baptized in Bijan. So that tells me that you like Texas in this spot, catching 2.5.
Yeah, I do. I almost added Texas. You look 16, 8-1 the last 25 out as a dog. And what's been interesting in this series is Baylor has been favored 7 of the last 11 against that Texas brand. If I'm a Texas fan, that infuriates me. We've heard about the great resources that Baylor has and the money behind that program, but this is still Texas. And I don't know what you would equate that. Let's just use Alabama as an example in the SEC. Baylor is Kentucky.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Can you imagine Kentucky being favored 7 of the last 11 against Alabama?
Nope. No, that is insane. That's why Sark's in his first year there. That's when he changed coaches.
Baylor, though, in Aranda's second year, I'll give him a lot of credit. I thought a lot of this has to do with the Jeff Grimes hire because they're second in offensive efficiency. You mentioned Smith running the football. Do think the best player on the field is going to be Bijan. Baylor's 5-2 against the number. I think it's a good spot for Texas. If they lose here, hard to believe. It goes all the way back to 2016, the last time they lost 3 in a row.
All right, let's go to the ACC. It's another 11 o'clock game. ACC Network. Miami is at Pitt. Pitt is favored 9.5. Both these teams coming off big wins. One a surprise for Miami as they beat NC State when people had given Miami up for dead. But they found themselves a quarterback after the Derek King injury, beat NC State. Pitt, of course, over Clemson, which has a lot of people thinking Pitt let down in this fight.
Van Dyke throws BBs. And watching him, we backed him against NC State last weekend. People were shocked by that outcome. And they tore up that NC State defense, and it was all Van Dyke. Miami, as average as Manny Diaz, or some would say bad, in his small tenure, he's 4-1 against the number as a road dog. And he's almost catching double digits. And I think this is a spot that we talked about. Pittsburgh's coming off their biggest win probably, I guess Pat Narduzzi's 2 biggest wins are Clemson wins. And I guess the other Clemson win was against a Clemson team that went to a college football playoff. So that was probably his biggest. Second biggest win, though, was last weekend. Legitimate quarterback that we talk about all the time in Kenny Pickett. This is the 25th meeting since the FBS-FCS split in 1978. And Pitt has been underdogs in 23 of the 25, and now they're almost a double-digit favorite. I think you're getting value here, Brown. This was another one of those 11 o'clock games. I didn't want to force a ton of them, but I like Miami here. I think they keep it close.
All right, let's go to the Big 12. Iowa State is at West Virginia. The Cyclones favored 7.5 on the road. Number 22, Iowa State at West Virginia. This is one of those ranked versus unranked you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I'm waiting for West Virginia to break out. I thought year one for Neil Brown was really good. Couldn't really get a gauge on last year. And I thought this was going to be the year with Daggy at quarterback, Letty Brown running the football. Their defense has always been really solid. They've been up and down. They had every opportunity to beat Oklahoma. I don't love this team. Iowa State, though, was coming off such an emotional, hard-fought win last weekend against Oklahoma State, where we backed them when we didn't get the cover. But Xavier Hutchinson had his coming out party on the road. I think you've got West Vi as your upset alert, right?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I got them upset alert. Beating. I think I could say beating Iowa State.
I don't know why this number's where it is. I would have posted this 4.5 or 5. I think 7.5 is too many. Kind of lean West Virginia here.
Yeah, good. I hope I need one. I need to get off the skid. I had LSU last week in upset alert. How'd that work out?
Ouch.
Yeah, not good. That's how that worked out. All right, before we move on, if everybody wants to get on board with Lance's Lock, it's pretty simple today.
Yeah, just go to lanceslog.com. We're going to give you a free play. I'm going to give you that free play. We're playing Mississippi State against Kentucky. I know people think we're insane. Home team's won 6 straight in this series, and I still, as good as Chris Rodriguez is, I thought Levis was going to be better in this Liam Cohen offense. Everybody's talking about it. It's still not there. And hard to believe that they only had 157 total yards of offense last year, and they won that game against Mississippi State. Now, it helped that State turned it over 6 times. I think we'll get another one of those ugly games, but I think Zach Arnett's defense will be the difference here. So I like Mississippi State, and Mississippi State laying the 1, I think now. That is your free play. So we give you a free play every day. Lance'sLock.com, $90 for everything from the World Series, the NBA, obviously college, NFL sides, totals. Everything's $90. Been in business over 6 years. We're going to win for you. Jump on board, lanceslock.com.
Also on Twitter at Lance's Lock, if you wanted to follow it there and get those free plays. Lance tweets them out as well at the Lance Taylor. All right, let's go to the Big Ten. Primetime game, ABC, 6:30. Penn State is at Ohio State. This game, I think, Lance, I saw open at 14.5, 15, which surprised me. Ohio State, I see, is up to 19.5 now. That's about where I thought this game would be, somewhere around 3 touchdowns. I think they're that much better than Penn State.
Yeah, I think it's even touched 20.5, Brown. They've won 25 straight Big Ten games. I don't think we give that enough credit. You know, they lost the game earlier this season to Oregon. I think if they play that game again, I think they win that game by double digits. I think you would agree with me on that. But, I mean, 25 straight games with the Big Ten. The Big Ten's not the SEC, but the Big Ten is still really good. And to win 25 straight in that conference is pretty crazy. They lead the FBS in total offense, 560 yards. They lead the FBS in scoring offense at 49 points per game. In this 5-game winning streak, you can say what you want about the competition, but it looks like C.J. Stroud has gotten really comfortable. And another thing, they have won 25 straight as 17-point-plus favorites. Penn State's only allowing less than 15 points per game, which is 6th in the FBS. But Franklin, 1-7 all-time against Ohio State. I think Ohio State way too much firepower. Don't really know the status of Sean Clifford. Even when he's healthy, he hasn't been very good. So I think I would lay the points here. What about you?
Yeah, I like Ohio State big here. Now, Ohio State's been blowing everybody out, but they have not played. I mean, this is the best team they've played in this 5-game stretch. I don't think Penn State's all that great, but it's the best team they've played in this 5-game stretch, which has been full of, you know, the Marylands, Rutgers. I can't remember them all, but it's a bunch of crap teams that they have played in this stretch where everybody has said, man, Ohio State's gotten better. But I did notice our buddy Furman, I believe it was, tweeted out that in Vegas on his power rankings, he's moved Ohio State in front of Alabama. He's got them number 2 in the country right now. I think that was Furman.
I do too, though. I mean, and I think I said that. I believe if they played right now, I think Ohio State would beat Alabama. I think Alabama would score. I think it'd be a really fun game. I think it would be one of those 45-42 type games. It would be what we saw LSU Alabama 2019. That's it's the way Stroud is playing with Henderson running the football. I mean, they've got so much skill. They've got a really good offensive line. I do think Alabama, you know, you play that game 7 times, it's probably a 7-game series, but I think it'd be really tight.
Yeah, this was the tweet from Furman. It's the Bet the Board podcast power rankings, Vegas power rankings. This is how that's what they go by. This is how they set their lines. Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Alabama 3, Oklahoma 4, Michigan 5, Cincinnati 6, Ole Miss 7, Iowa State 8, Auburn 9, Florida 10. So that's at least one opinion out in Vegas.
Look, in Vegas, and you know I'm pretty good on putting where these numbers are going to be. You know, right now, though, Michigan, Cincinnati, neutral site, I mean, they've got them right side by side. I don't know. Again, I think there's only 3 potential elite teams right now in college football, and I think Vegas has got the top 3 right at least.
All right, let's wrap by the big game in our state, also prime time. Auburn opens the day a 3-point favorite over Ole Miss. This is a fascinating football game.
I got gun shy last minute. You know, I've been talking Auburn up all week, and I still like Auburn in this game. They've won 5 straight against Ole Miss. I go back 2 years ago in Jordan Hare, and Bo Nix had a career high 340 yards against that Matt Luke defense. I think this defense is a little bit better for Ole Miss. But Lane Kiffin 1-7 against the number in ranked versus ranked matchups, which we're going to get today. I just think this Auburn atmosphere, and Ole Miss is coming off this grueling stretch. I don't know if Auburn necessarily wanted that bye when they had it because they seem to really get things rolling. But they're going to be well rested. And I think Ole Miss is kind of banged up. And I'm not sure Matt Corral's 100% here. And Bo Nix, if he continues to play like he's playing right now, Brown, if it's the Bo Nix we saw in the second half against LSU, the Bo Nix we saw against Arkansas, I could see Auburn win this game by double digits. I know that sounds crazy. Wow. I think we're going to get a tight game, but I lean that Auburn is going to win this game. They just got to slow Ole Miss down running the football. I mean, Ole Miss, 250-plus rushing yards in 5 of their 6 games this year, or 5 of their 7 games. They're 3rd nationally right now behind only Army and Air Force. So, Derek Mason, the key is going to be slow those guys down, make Matt Corral beat you over the top. And I think that's going to be a fun matchup. I think that's your number 1 game of the day, right?
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I think Ohio State, Penn State's got good name value. I think Ole Miss Auburn's a better game, and it's got West implications. I mean, Auburn controls their own destiny. they've got to, continue to win, obviously, but they play Alabama at the end of the year. Ole Miss doesn't, but they're still well within the race to Atlanta. They need a win here, though. They cannot take on another loss. So, I mean, it's got West implications.
Let me throw two weird scenarios that we haven't talked about for college football playoff before we get out of here today. If Michigan wins today and wins out and loses to Ohio State, and they both have one loss, but virtue of tiebreaker, Ohio State goes on, wins Big Ten. Michigan's got one loss. And it's
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Tight one. And then on top of that, Ole Miss wins out, but Alabama goes and beats Georgia in the SEC championship game. Or even loses to Georgia. Where are we on Ole Miss and Michigan with one loss, not playing for their conference championships, getting in?
Well, you would need Alabama to lose in your scenario, and here's why. Because with an Alabama win, you got one loss Georgia, one loss Alabama, and I think one loss Georgia would go in front of Ole Miss. What do you think?
Yeah.
So you
but
need
if Alabama loses,
does
it?
And that's
where it gets
Ole Miss
tricky.
Win over Alabama. Yeah. But there again, Michigan. I was just looking, Lance. Today is their first top 25 matchup of the season. Now, Washington was when they played them, but we have seen that Washington is not a top 25 team. Otherwise, Michigan has beaten Western Michigan, Washington, Northern Illinois, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern. So, I mean, Michigan doesn't have a ton of great wins. You had them winning here today. They play Penn State later on. If Penn State loses to Ohio State, Penn State's probably unranked. I mean, there wouldn't be a whole lot on that Michigan resume for you to get fired up about, except for that name.
But you and I think Oklahoma's going to lose a game. So if you had a one-loss Oklahoma Big 12 champion, a one-loss Oregon Pac-12 champion, but you had a one-loss not playing in their conference championship, Ole Miss, and the same with Michigan, who do you take, Ole Miss, Michigan, or the one-loss champions?
I think they go one-loss champions at that point, especially with Oregon's win over Ohio State, assuming Ohio State is that Big Ten champion. I would think you would go SEC champion, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Ohio State. I think that's who your playoff will be right there.
Hey, and if you're wondering where USC football is, where they've fallen with Dante Williams, their interim coach, 6 o'clock ESPNU tonight.
Woo, boy! 6
you think
ESPNU.
Will Alabama ever be on ESPNU?
I mean, if they're playing New Mexico State, but actually that's even on SEC Network, which is better than ESPNU. What's the number on that game?
21.
Will you be watching? You're in Southern California.
Yeah. I'll have it on. I honestly, this is sad. I don't know if I'll have it on the big because of Auburn and Ole Miss.
Auburn Ole Miss is far better to watch. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is. But I don't know. USC is just so disappointing. But
what will the Coliseum crowd be for that one? Arizona, who's maybe the worst Power 5 team in football, at USC, who is sinking fast, and they're with an interim coach. What's the crowd there?
It will be 50,000, less than half capacity.
Well, that is sad, man. Once great program there.
Yep.
USC minus 22. I don't know that I'll even watch that game. Arizona's so bad, Lance.
Well, I mean, you're going to have Auburn, Ole Miss big. You'll have Penn State, Ohio State, North Carolina, Notre Dame, and Kentucky, Mississippi State will all be a part of that game. And SMU
Houston. Yeah, there's no chance. I'll have to find the score in the paper tomorrow morning when they throw the paper in the driveway to see who won that one. All right, tell me more about Lance. Yeah, please live tweet. All right, tell them about Lance's live. Tell them about Lance's live before we get out of here.
Yeah. Jump on board. Again, it's $90 for everything. We're in our 6th year of existence. October has been really shaky, but look, we had a great Saturday last week, 7-4. We've got 14 plays up for you. You can buy a daily package too. I forgot what we've got that. I think it's like $30 or $40, but I would just say throw it in, roll with us a month. It's only $9 for the entire month. We're going to win for you. Simple math. That's $3 a day. We give you a free play. I'll give it to you right now. We have got Mississippi State minus the 1 over Kentucky. That is your free play today. 14 plays up, $90 for everything. Lance'sLock.com.
All right, everybody have a fun Saturday. Enjoyed it, Lance. Enjoy your Saturday, and we'll talk to everybody after Auburn and Ole Miss. We'll be right here on social media. Enjoy your football Saturday.